My wife and I decided to take a hike in our backyard today. Well, not really our backyard. More like 5,000 miles of national forest in Colorado. It's our little paradise. We have a few neighbors a couple of miles in each direction, and some free-roaming cows, horses, and chickens to keep us company. It's a simple existence, just the way we like it. It was a beautiful day despite the fact that we were 8,000 feet above sea level. A little cold from time to time, but overall, not too bad. Anyway, it was sunny out, so we decided to take a hike and go down a path, a deer trail, that we haven't been down previously. We left early in the morning and after about 3 hours of hiking, decided to head back. Well, we were about to until I pointed out a tree-like fortress a few 1,000 feet out. Screw it, we said. Might as well go check it out. To get there was a pretty tough rock scramble, but after about 45 minutes, both of us made it up with just a few cuts and scrapes. In front of us was a tree unlike any in the area. It was massive, almost like a redwood with roots cascading over each other and almost melting into one. It was magnificent. And the scent. Oh God, the scent. It was a mix of pine and something like the smell of a royal empress tree. Odd, since that was not native to the region whatsoever, and rather belonged in China. The leaves were simple enough, looking almost like a maple leaf. They were, however, spaced out pretty sporadically, and didn't fill in the whole tree. We were more than curious at this point and moved closer. What kind of tree is this? How is it the only one for miles of its kind? Didn't make sense. As we got closer, even more questions were left to be asked. All around the trunk of the tree was small writings carved into the surface. Some were symbols, while others were words from a language unknown to us. When I touched the tree, I was shocked to feel that it was cold to the touch. It wasn't wood at all, but rather a plasticky, metallic-like texture. Neither my partner nor I knew what kind of material it was. How could a metallic tree produce such a smell? We started brainstorming what it could be. Some kind of lightning pole, an experiment for the animals in the area, possibly run by park rangers. But why would something like that be so detailed? And what was the writing? We made our way back to the tree in search of some kind of clue for what this could be. In the back, we found a little latch. We figured it would open some kind of compartment in the roots that would open to some sort of storage container. In the back of my mind, I was anxious that some kind of alarm would go off and call the forest ranger or something along those lines. After about 5 minutes of discussion, we made the decision to pull it and see what would happen. After an even longer discussion, it was decided that I would pull it. I grabbed onto the latch with both fear and adrenaline and quickly pulled down. Nothing happened for a second, until we heard low groaning and creaking from inside the trunk, like gears spinning. Suddenly, we were being doused in orange pollen, spewing from the branches and leaves. It was too late to get out of the way, as we quickly got covered, like a blanket of snow. I just stood there in utter shock. Was this some sort of government experiment in my backyard? Is it for animals to somehow track them? I didn't get it. And at that moment, I just wanted to get as far the hell away from there as possible. My wife, with terror in her eyes, also ran. As soon as we got out of the general area, we quickly used all our water to flush our eyes out. Without even talking, we began to go down the rock scramble, terrified out of our minds. This time going down took a maximum of maybe 15 minutes, with a twisted ankle added on for good measure by yours truly. After getting down, we still had a 3-hour hike ahead of us, and all we wanted to do was get home and shower. For all we knew, this pollen attracted coyotes or was just poisonous in general. We didn't talk almost the whole trek back as we ran and jogged the 3 hours. Now it was 2 hours. Good thing my wife and I stay fit. After getting home, we quickly stripped, threw our clothes in the wash, which are stained orange, and jumped into the shower. Cue an hour later when we both finished vigorously scrubbing every square inch of our body. We decided to look up the tree. Doesn't hurt to check if anything matched our little found secret. Sadly, we couldn't find anything and decided to just ice my ankle and go to bed. Before that, though we had to throw out our clothes from the hike because even after a deep wash, they were still stained a deep orange. The next morning we got up as usual and drank our coffee on the porch. Besides the twisted ankle, we had no reason to keep thinking about the pollen. For safe measures, we went into town and asked our friend if we smelled any different. We didn't. We also went to a doctor to get some blood work done just in case something toxic entered our bodies. They'll give us the results in a day or two, but the doctor said since we didn't digest it, there was little to worry about. I could finally push the whole incident to the back of my mind. Until later that night when I started to feel a little strange, to say the least. I was sitting down, reading a book while my wife was working in her office. I started to feel somewhat lightheaded and played it off as needing to drink some water. Getting up from reading to go grab a glass, my vision went red. When the red cleared, I found myself in the kitchen with a full glass of water in my hand. A memory lapse? I didn't think too much of it and sat back down. About 15 minutes later, my partner comes into the room and heads towards the porch. She looked a little distant. I called out her name and no response was given whatsoever. She continued to walk in an entranced state and goes outside. A few minutes later, she comes back looking confused. I asked if she was okay and if she was looking for something. She stared back with a hollow face and mumbled something about how she wanted some fresh air. I asked if she felt weird at all and she responded a little and asked if we could just go to bed. I complied and we headed off to the bedroom. That night, I had a reoccurring dream, or more of a reoccurring theme. I kept seeing that red over and over. Probably over a dozen times it seeped into my dreams. When I woke up, I was a little cold and wet. I looked down and saw that I was outside, about 2,000 feet from my home, sitting on the ground with no shoes on. Scared out of my mind, I started briskly walking back home. As I'm walking, I pass by a gutted cow. And when I say gutted, I mean a pool of fresh blood is flowing down the road like a stream. I look down at my hands and they're red, covered in blood. At this point, I sprint back home, praying that my wife is there safe and sound. I run down my driveway. Everything seems calm inside. Going into my bedroom, I can see my wife still sleeping there. A sigh of relief escapes my mouth as I lie down next to her, making sure she's all right. Something caught my eye as I was lying down though. Something red under the covers. I throw off the blanket and see that her hands have blood caked all around them. Her fingernails are gone. As gently and quickly as I can, I try to wake her up. When she opens her eyes, fear fills them. She asks why I had blood everywhere. I told her to look down at her own hands. She yells and runs into the bathroom. That was the last time I saw my wife. Or rather, the last time my conscious self did. The lightheadedness came back and red slowly crept at the edges of my vision. When I awoke, more red, but not the same that I've been seeing. No, this was the blood of someone I loved and cared for deeply. My wife. It's still painful to describe the scene. I've never seen so much blood, not even on TV. I didn't know a human body could produce so much blood. At first, I shut down, but knowing the red vision would come back, I quickly became fearful that something like this would happen again. I sprung my ass into gear and grabbed various boards, metal clippings and screws. I boarded up every nook and cranny that had an opening to the outside, hoping that that would be enough to hold me back. My next step was to write this. Maybe, just maybe it will stop someone else from doing what we did. I'm not even sure what to do from here. My wife's dead body is still in the other room. I may join her soon. Seems to be the only right thing to do. Or maybe I'll go and get help. Again, I wouldn't even know where to start with that. I don't want to hurt anyone else.